You believe in grace. You understand forgiveness. You've heard 100 sermons on God's mercy, and yet you're still stuck. Same patterns, same sins, same cycles you thought would be gone by now. If grace hasn't changed you, it's not because you're weak. It's because you were taught it wrong. Here's the pattern you know too well. You fall, you feel guilty, you pray, you promise to do better, and then you repeat. Days pass, weeks pass, sometimes years, and quietly, without saying it out loud, you start wondering, if grace is real, why isn't it working? You don't doubt God exists. You don't question whether He loves you, but you're starting to wonder whether grace actually has the power to change you, or if it's just something that sounds good in church but doesn't hold up in real life. Here's the problem. You don't misunderstand sin. You misunderstand grace. Most Christians do, because grace has been taught as tolerance instead of transformation. Here's how it happens. Grace gets explained as forgiveness. Forgiveness becomes a clean slate, and a clean slate starts to feel like starting over. And starting over feels like permission. Permission to stay the same, as long as you keep coming back to ask for forgiveness. So grace becomes a reset button, a way to manage guilt, a way to relieve shame just enough to survive until the next failure. And this belief quietly trains you to expect repetition. Fall, repent, repeat. Fall, repent, repeat. Not because you want to stay stuck, but because that's what you think grace is for. But that's not what grace actually is. Grace is not God lowering the standard. Grace is not God turning a blind eye to weakness. Grace is not permission to stay who you are. Grace is access to a new nature. Grace is the power to live differently. There's a difference between relief and renewal. Relief makes you feel better. Renewal makes you live different. There's a difference between permission and power. Permission lets you off the hook. Power changes what you're capable of. If grace only makes you feel better but never live different, it's incomplete. You've received part of it, and you're wondering why the whole thing doesn't work. So why do people stay stuck? Not because they lack discipline, not because they're uniquely broken, not because they don't care enough. They stay stuck because they have a belief problem, not just a behavior problem. And here's what most people do when they realize nothing is changing. They try harder. They add accountability. They make bigger promises. They pray longer. They ask God for strength. But here's what they don't do. They don't question the belief keeping them passive. You keep praying for strength because strength feels spiritual. Questioning your beliefs feels dangerous. So instead of confronting belief, you manage behavior. And that doesn't produce transformation. It produces a cycle you mistake for Christianity. Here's the cost of that misunderstanding. Over time, you don't get angry. You get numb. You stop expecting real change. You start quietly resenting the gap between what grace promises and what you're actually experiencing. You keep showing up, you keep believing, but underneath there's a low-grade doubt you don't talk about. Not doubt in God, doubt in whether this actually works. And that's not rebellion. That's confusion left uncorrected. Grace misunderstood doesn't lead to freedom. It leads to quiet resignation. You become someone who believes in grace in theory, but lives like it isn't really accessible. Someone who talks about transformation, but secretly thinks it's for other people. Someone who has given up on real change and settled for damage control. And the tragedy is, you think that's normal. You think everyone else is doing the same thing. Managing sin, managing guilt, managing appearances. But it's not normal. It's the result of a teaching error no one corrected. Grace was never meant to help you survive the cycle. Grace was meant to end it. Grace is not God's tolerance of your weakness. It's God's power made available in your weakness. Grace is not the safety net that catches you when you fall. It's the strength that keeps you standing. Grace is not what makes failure acceptable. It's what makes change possible. You were taught that grace means God isn't mad at you when you mess up. And that's true, but it's not the whole truth. The whole truth is that grace gives you access to a different kind of life. A life where sin doesn't have the same authority it used to. Where patterns break, where cycles end, where you actually become different. Not perfect, but different. If grace hasn't changed you yet, it doesn't mean it's weak. It means you were taught it wrong. And until you question what you were taught about grace, nothing else will change.